The focus of the presentation from Central Valley is around their Early Learning Center. And Barb, are you there? Let's go and we're going to
give it a try and see if we can't get it to work.
All right. Thanks, Vern.
Okay, so yeah.
Yep.
And I'm the Director of Special Programs here at the Early Learning Center.
And I'm Barbara Statler, and I'm the Director of Early Childhood Programs for the district. We wanted to talk to you today about how we here at Central Valley have made our program for our early learners work and how it came about, and give you a little quick peek of how we have made that operate for our community. So we wanted to give you a little history of how we ended up here at what we call the Early Learning Center. It was basically established due to lack of classroom space throughout the district. Our early learning program was put in our neighborhood schools, and we had ECAP classrooms and our special service preschool classrooms developed out in those neighborhood schools. But as our district grew, our early learning programs had to find a new home. And at that time, our district has a building that can no longer be used for our K-12. So we moved our early learning program here completely in the year 2006. And now we've started operating all of our services in one location.
So when we first got here, we just worked independently. We didn't really collaborate. We didn't integrate. We were in the same building and just kind of passing each other in the halls, and we didn't really even know each other's names. But with the law requiring us to integrate through the least restrictive environment, and then with all the research that was talking about how great it was, we started looking at each other and saying, well, gosh, you know, this is a great opportunity for us. So we went out, visited some of our neighboring districts, saw some other models, and had kind of a committee that sat down and started scratching our heads and thinking, how can we integrate? How can we put this together to be successful for our kids? We have about 100 kids with IEPs in the building, and I don't know how many ECAP and child care kids, Barb.
We have 175 state-funded spots through ECAP. And we have an additional wraparound child care program on site that services children ages 4 weeks of age through 6 years of age, and we're licensed for 75. So on our site, on our location now altogether, we have a special service program, an ECAP program, and our child care program, along with currently we have 93 staff members in our building to help access those children and make sure that they're getting the services that they need.
So those staff members include special education staff. We have 8 certified special education teachers, 3 speech-language pathologists, 2 occupational therapists, a physical therapist, a school psychologist, speech and vision specialists, hearing specialists, as well as school nurses and interpreters. That's just from the special education department.
We know that the programs can't work unless we have support from our district administrators. So it's a collaborative effort between our Executive Director of Elementary Education, who's Mr. Tim Newton-Boom, the Executive Director of Special Services, Mrs. Jackie Johnson, myself and Vern, and then the staff that we oversee here in the building. And like Vern stated, we have a lot of specialists. We have ECAP funding that comes into the building along with our federal funds that support our special service program, and then our state funds that support our child care program here in the building. Like we talked about earlier just a moment ago, our ECAP grant services 175 slots. So we do what, and with that funding comes our special services funding both on the state level, the federal level, and the district support level. And then our funds generated privately from child care, whether it's through working connection subsidies or private pay individuals. During our investigation of trying to figure out how we could make sure that all kids integrated with their typical peers using the 2 programs that we had on site, which are our ECAP program and our special service program, we looked at how those programs with their policies and procedures intertwined, and we realized that ECAP has very specific program standards regarding how we follow using our grant dollars at all times.
And of course, special education follows the IDEA laws and the state WAC. So we had to figure out how to get those two worlds to mesh and to get our teachers thinking about how they could get them to mesh. They were pretty entrenched in their own bureaucracies, if you will, and their guidelines, and took a lot of give and take and a lot of conversations and a lot of collaboration to get through some of those conversations.
And I think what worked for our district is that the united front from both the district level and Vern as the special service supervisor and myself as the early childhood supervisor, showing that the collaborative effort was coming from the top down, really helped support the teachers in understanding that it's in the best interest of the child, whether it's a special needs child, whether it's a ECAP child, or whether it's a child coming out of our child care program, how important it was that all of the people or the stakeholders at the table understood that the end result was to get our children ready to enter into our case district right here and make sure that they were successful.
I think we're going to show you some of our different programs. We brought some slides in and even a little video clip, I think, that shows one of the programs. With 100 different special ed kids, we're able to kind of homogeneously group them. That first slide is the alternative instruction model, and that's for kids who are pretty impacted. All of our kids, every one of our 100 special needs kids are integrated to some degree every day, some more, some less. Some of these kids in these first few slides are kids who are more impacted, more involved kids, or as you know, in special education, we take them on their third birthday. In the ECAP guidelines, they have to be 3 by September 1st. So if we get a kid that's 3 in October, they can't be integrated into ECAP. We have to find another place to integrate them. So that's where the child care programs, we're able to access those children for integration. This next group, I think we have a little video here, and we're going to show you. This is an ECAP classroom with, so there's 18 kids in there. 12 of them are ECAP children. 6 of them are special needs children, and these kids are actually broken out. They stay in the classroom the whole time, but we kind of, for specially designed instruction, we'll pull small groups to work on their IEP goals. And then we're going to run this video, hopefully.
Caitlin, go see Miss Karen. I know you're going to. Just a second, sweetie. Hang on. Addie, Jazzy, Jace, go see Sarah. Thank you, sir. Keep going, Jace. That's Karen. Sarah's over there. What's your question, sir? I'm going to think about that, and then I'll let you know in just a minute, okay, honey? Maddie, Brooklyn, Antoine, go to writing. Landon, Jesse, Dallas, and Hunter come play Candyland with Miss Brenda. Careful, friends. Antoine, where we have lunch, that's where you're going. Thank you, friends. Jesse is right here with Miss Brenda. You're going to play a game. Thank you.
Why we wanted to show you that actual program that we call our tweener program is because that's probably our most difficult program to meet performance standards and state and federal laws in the sense that ECAP is required to have a lot of free choice, and children are supposed to be able to request where they want to go. As you could see, those children were being directed to where they needed to go, and that was because the children in that room that are on IEPs needed to have some sort of peer to model after, plus we needed to do what we call direct instruction right there with those kids and their typical peers right at the desk. So we use that classroom in a little bit different model than we do any of our other integrated models here.
With our typically integrated classroom, again, we have 12 ECAP students, 6 students on IEPs, and they are following 100% of the time the ECAP curriculum. With the special ed teacher, we have a special education paraprofessional in that room at all times, and every other day we put a special education certified teacher in there to be able to work on IEP goals, but they work on them within the ECAP environment and the ECAP curriculum.
So in that room also, in addition, is always an ECAP lead specialist and an ECAP educational assistant. So those children are getting a 4:18 ratio, with 2 of them being the lead teachers that collaborate on instruction with the 2 assistants to help make sure all IEP goals are being met at all times.
52% of our special education population are in that least restrictive environment.
Our last program that we like to discuss is our integration for the population that we were talking about, whether they don't meet the age requirement to be integrated into our classrooms, or they are impacted where that would not be the most appropriate setting for them. So we integrate those programs with our child care setting twice a day, and we usually do that in some sort of large motor. As you see here, they're doing music, and you can take a quick look at the amount of adults that are in that classroom. So there's a lot of modeling going on, a lot of direct instruction, and they're being able to witness that with their typical peers right next to them. So we found great success in being able to meet all of those federal and state requirements in one building by allowing those children to have some access to typical peer group, whether it's for a full period of 2.5 hours a day, or whether it's something like a large motor that may be a 20-minute block of their day.
So then what we start doing is right after Christmas each year, we start going out to the kindergarten classrooms, and the kindergarten teachers start coming down here, and we start doing a lot of collaboration, making sure that what the kindergarten teachers need, we're getting our kids ready for, and the kindergarten teachers get to know our kids so that when they come to them next fall, they've already seen them in action, they've done observations, and they're pretty familiar with our kids and what their needs are going to be.
We follow a very high quality pre-K program, and including in that we use the assessment tool Teaching Strategies Gold, which is part of the WOC-Kids tool as well, and it's part of the state mandates by ECAP. And all of the children in our program have access to that assessment tool. So the information that we can pass on to our K teachers here in the district, because our children that are serviced in our building are rolling from our early ed program right into our K program, our research shows that our integrated model helps prepare them for our integrated K model, if that's where their placement would be, if they're in a regular K, an all-day K program. And because we have that information available, the achievement gap we have seen, the actual rollover of our students out of our program, we see that achievement gap being diminished because our kids are actually understanding what the next step is. We've prepared them with simple things like in the spring, getting their lunch just like they would at school, where they receive it out of a line, knowing how to line up, and we use multiple areas on our campus for large motor. We go to the gym, we go to the music room, we have what we call a bike room, we have an OT-PT area. So our children are very accustomed to moving about the building and not spending a 2.5-hour period in their classroom. So we're really preparing them for what's coming down in their elementary days. Some of our challenges are we never know what our population or the level of disabilities that will be coming into our district. We start the year with a plan or our best laid out plan, and every October we think we've addressed all of our needs, and we're readdressing them by the 1st of October and making some pretty drastic changes by December 1st, as in amount of classroom space needed, amount of programs needed. Some of our programs, like the tweener model that we showed you, there are no slots left for integration in those classrooms, and so we see that our space and our unknown population and the availability for growth is probably some of our biggest challenges. The other piece is that you have to have a very flexible staff that can work in an environment like this, because like I stated earlier, we could start the year one way and we end up a totally different way than we had expected or told them what they would be in. And because we have such a large support staff, it's a lot of maneuvering, a lot of adjusting, and flexibility is key to the success of that. We'd like to answer any questions if anyone has any questions for us. And like I stated earlier, this is our program here in Central Valley and what has worked for us. And because we can have a one-stop shop and be all in one building, and our kids do roll right from our pre-program into our buildings here with K, we've been able to adapt this and change and adjust it to work successfully for our district. But we're always open for suggestions or comments to help us get to the next step as well.
Well, one question I have for you, Barb and Vern, this is Colleen, is the different programs working together, and what type of time commitment does your staff need to do this level of collaboration?
Yeah, that's one thing we've been very blessed and fortunate with in our district, is that we have our students 4 days a week. So they're here morning session and an afternoon session, Monday through Thursday, but we use Fridays for collaboration. We use it for IEP meetings. We use it for trainings. It takes a lot of collaboration, and that has required a commitment from our school board, from our superintendent, our assistant superintendent. We have huge commitment and support from the district for this, and they recognize that it takes that kind of time to make it work. And
yeah.
Along with our budgets, because ECAP has very strict rules as to how we use those grant dollars, and the district has a lot of support, whether it's federal, state, or levy support for our special service programs. So really manipulating those budgets is also complicated. But we've come up with what we believe is a very effective way, and we've had both the state and our district take a good, strong look at how that works, and it tends to be working for us really well right now with collaboration and making sure that appropriate funds are being used the appropriate way.
Oh, great, great. Now, there's another question here, kind of asking about what are your program goals moving forward, especially with the type of results you're getting?
I think our number one goal is to bridge the gap between pre and K, and we see that we're excited about WA Kids. We're excited about the collaboration that happens between pre and K. The Early Ed world started using the assessment tool for WA Kids last year, so we have a lot of data on our 280 kids that left our building last year that was actually available for our K teachers. So we're really excited as to how that's going to look year after year as we grow in both WA Kids and PSG for the pre-program. That information that we're going to be able to share with our other 11 buildings out in the district. It'll be exciting to see how that goes. Our next challenge will be how we will address P as our district tends to be growing and we see kids coming, needing services. Our world right now is great, but we are maxed out and we have no additional space to kind of grow, and so that's one concern as we look forward is how we're going to address that.
Yes, I bet. And the program with the collaboration and weaving these programs together for the benefit of these preschoolers is wonderful. I was curious, though, for your child care program, are only certain families eligible for the child care, or is there criteria?
No, there's no individual group that qualifies. Because it's licensed through the state of Washington, all of our kids that come into that program either come through state subsidies on Working Connection or what we call community pay or individual families looking for child care, What we see a lot in our child care program are families that qualify for services and special services or ECAP, and being in one location where they could bring their child before or after their 2.5-hour block, morning or afternoon session, and actually having care from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. So it works well for families that are needing both child care and they qualify for one of our additional programs. So that's typically the population we see in it. And then, of course, we end up getting the siblings of those kiddos because it's just easier for moms and dads to have one drop-off and pick-up location.
Oh,
well, I
yes.
think Barb also said we have 97 staff here in the building, and a lot of the staff have their children here as well.
Oh, that's a great recommendation. That's a great reference. Wow. Well, thank you so much, and for sharing this information in a really unique program that it sounds like it's going so well for your children as they go into kindergarten. That's just very exciting.
It's been fabulous. Thank you.
Yep, thanks a lot.
Thank you, and thank you to everyone who has been viewing and giving us questions, and I hope that you benefited a great deal from this webinar. And of course, thank you to our 4 school directors from across the state for sharing their programs. This is a great example that one of the best innovations in our state is how we collaborate and partner. And I add that to early education. It's a winner. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.